Here's special guest host Kevin Dietz.
Both Donald Trump and Joe Biden were in Michigan this week. Trump holding a fiery rally in mid-Michigan. Joe Biden a more subdued press conference in Warren, Michigan. In the middle of it all was Governor Gretchen Whitmer standing by and supporting Joe Biden and calling Donald Trump dangerous. Donald Trump had a few things to say about Governor Whitmer as well. Here to break it all down is Oakland University professor of political science, David Dulio. David, thanks for being on the Mitch Albom Show.
It's my pleasure, Kevin. Nice to talk to you.
Yeah, it's nice to talk to you as well. So I watched a lot of this. I'm sure you did as well. There was quite a contrast between what we saw from candidate Joe Biden and what we saw from incumbent Donald Trump.
Yes, and not to be expected. I think the president's visit here was quintessential Donald Trump, right? It was as big of a rally as he can have at the moment. It was bombastic at times. It was over the top at times. And, Joe Biden has been really subdued and sort of trying to be careful about how he campaigns, really since he sewed up the nomination.
So when we watched Joe Biden, I mean, he took his mask off for the press conference, but it was clear that there were not a lot of people around. There was not a crowd. There was no local reporters. There was the reporting pool that's with him all the time. It looked like they said, let's show that we're very concerned about the COVID-19 and that we want to send a message that we're safe and careful. Do you think that's planned, or do you think that's just where he's at right now?
Well, I think everything in a presidential campaign is planned. It is all designed to convey or communicate some kind of message. And I think that it is another example of sort of of how both candidates and both parties, for that matter, have in large part approached the coronavirus. And I think that masks have almost become a team jersey, where if you wear one, people assume that you're with one side, and if you don't, they assume you're with the other. And that's not a fair assumption, but I think that's kind of where we're at.
And at the Trump rally, of course, there were not a lot of masks. There was a lot of people, not a lot of masks. Some reporters were saying about 10%. Does that send out a message, and is that an intended message to fire up the base, or does it really matter to people who maybe are undecided on who they're going to vote for?
I think the vast majority of Americans have made up their mind about Donald Trump. I think that there are relatively few persuadable voters. And those that are persuadable, that are going to participate by casting a ballot in November, I'm not sure how much they're paying attention to a Trump rally. I think that, or a Biden visit for that matter, I think that these kinds of events, especially the one that the president had, are really designed to energize the base and keep the momentum that they have with that base.
Yeah, I think people who were watching or trying to make a decision or are trying to make a decision want to see, how sharp Joe Biden is or is not. As you watched him, he did a pretty lengthy interview with CNN. Did you see anything? Did he seem sharp as he was 4 years ago? I know he has sort of a slower delivery than maybe President Trump does, but what's your take on what you're seeing?
Well, as I said, I think it's careful, and I think that. I'll answer your question as directly as I can. It's above my pay grade to make that assessment. I'm not any kind of clinician, but I think that the Biden campaign is. I think they believe that they are in good position. I won't say that they're ahead or that they think they're going to win. I think that they believe they're in good position, and if they don't make a major mistake, that position will continue. I do think that those persuadable voters that we were talking about, to this point, Joe Biden has been really just about not being Trump. And for some voters, that's enough. But I think to get the persuadable voters that are out there, Joe Biden has got to give them a reason to vote for him, not just against Donald Trump.
And how about Gretchen Whitmer and all this? Her favorable numbers just keep going up on how she's handling COVID here in the state of Michigan. A lot of people have strong feelings about her one way or the other. She's definitely not holding back. She jumped in and threw some body blows to President Trump.
As she has for 4 or 5 months, right? She's been part of the presidential campaign for quite a while. She's, as you know, right, been was on the short list to be vice presidential running mate, and she's continued the barbs back and forth with the White House that have been going on since March.
How close would you say Michigan is? I mean, we watched the polls. Biden's been up from start to today. The gap has narrowed from time to time. Now, both sides are saying they're ahead. Is Michigan going to be the key state it was 4 years ago, or are the candidates going to move on to another state that maybe is more up for grabs?
That really depends on how the next 3-4 weeks go. I think that if we start to see the needle move in one direction or the other, there's a chance that the other campaign might, or the campaign that's not benefited by that movement of the needle, could look to greener pastures. But my hunch is that this is going to stay really close right up until the end, and that we're gonna see and hear from these candidates quite a bit in the next 2 months.
The next big focal point, probably the debate.
No doubt about it. That I think is that may have a chance to be the most watched presidential debate at least in modern times, because I think that everybody is looking to see if Biden makes a mistake, right? I think we know what we can expect from the president given his debate performances 4 years ago. Everybody who's watching this, I think, is looking at Biden to see what he does. And an interesting piece of it is because the president has been so critical of Joe Biden in terms of his performance and his stamina or his mental acumen at this point in life, he may have lowered the bar so that if Joe Biden just does okay, it's a big win for him.
All right, we will be watching for sure. David Dulio, professor of political science at Oakland University. Thanks for being on the Mitch Albom Show.
My pleasure.